The Broncos lose another heartbreaker. Hello, and thank you for joining us for the Broncos Live postgame show. I am Phil Milani alongside Andrew Mason. The Broncos lose this one 19-17. Mace, they had a shot at the end, a 51-yard field goal wide right.
Yeah, they did what they needed to do to get in position downfield. A great job by Case Keenum and his receiving targets to get out of 1st and 25. There were a couple of penalties earlier in the drive, and they managed to wiggle their way out of it, but in the end, wasn't enough. They got to the 32-yard line, and McManus was wide right from 51 as time expired. Broncos lose by 2.
A little later in the show, we'll explain why the Broncos probably should have never been in this situation, but let's take a look at the highlights, show you how the Broncos dropped to 3-6 on the year. In the second quarter, the Broncos are down 13-3. Case Keenum finds Matt Lacoste, a 44-yard gain. Lacoste up the sideline. He had a great game. The tight ends overall did. And a few plays later, Devontae Booker makes up for an earlier fumble in the game. His 6th career touchdown. The Broncos down 3, 13-10. In the second half, Case Keenum making all kinds of different plays. He flips an underhand toss to Phillip Lindsay, 12-yard gain. The Broncos offense finding a lot of rhythm. Same drive, 3rd and goal, a strike to Jeff Hireman. He finished with 10 catches for 83 yards. The Broncos would take a 1-point lead, but after a Houston field goal, J.J. Watt sacks Case Keenum. The Broncos offense got back on the field a little bit later, converted 4th down twice, and it was just a matter of a 51-yard field goal. And really, the Broncos should have never been in this situation. Mace, take us through the end of the first half.
Yeah, the Broncos, they're driving. They get in position for what would be a 62-yard field goal attempt. And at the time of the kick, you had 22 seconds on the clock, and the Texans had 2 timeouts left. So the consequence of missing that kick is you give Houston the ball in Denver territory, turned out with 18 seconds left after McManus missed the kick. The Texans had 2 timeouts. They made the most of that opportunity. 13-yard pass, 7-yard pass. They used their timeouts. They get in the field goal range, and Kaimi Fairbairn hits the 46-yard field goal that turns 13-10 to 16-10 at halftime. And it may not have seemed like the end of the world at the time, but those points end up being the difference in the game and ensured that Houston's kicking misadventure on a PAT missing earlier in the game didn't come back to haunt them.
Yeah, 3 points, really valuable there at the end of the first half as the Broncos end up losing 19-17. We'll hear from head coach Vance Joseph in a little bit, get his thoughts on why he decided to go with Brandon McManus at the end of the first half. McManus, after such a strong start to this season, clearly not his best game today.
Yeah, and now he's missed 3 kicks in the last 2 weeks. All of them are from beyond 50 yards, so fundamentally you're not panicking about where Brandon McManus is. Those are tough kicks, but at the same time, you need him at the ending. Usually he's been captain clutch there in the last second. Wasn't the case today.
We hopefully will get some interviews from inside what must be a very disappointed Broncos locker room, as they had a chance to knock off a Houston team that's won 6 games in a row. And actually, our Matt Boyer is standing by with probably the player of the game, Jeff Hireman. Matt?
Inside the Broncos locker room with Jeff Hireman. Jeff, I know the result isn't what you wanted. You yourself, though, 10 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown. What allowed you to have so much success today?
I mean, man, honestly, it's not about me. It's about this team, man. We got fight in us, that's for sure. This one's tough. This one stings. This team's got fight. And I think that's the biggest thing you kind of see, week in and week out. And it's, man, going to battle with these guys. It's awesome just to be out there with all these guys and to fight with them. So.
You talked about the fight. They look to you on 4th down. You convert. You guys are driving. It looks like things are going your way. Just take me through the wave of emotions here.
Yeah. We had a 4th down. Got that 4th down. Had another big play to get us on their side of the field. And it's came down to kick, and it's people that know football know it never comes down to one play. So you can't point to one play and say, oh, if this, whether it's special teams, offense, defense, it never comes down to one play. So we just got to figure out a way as a team to execute better and put us in a better better position towards the end of the game to, come out on top. So,
Jeff, appreciate your time.
thanks, appreciate it.
Phil, we'll send it back to you on the field.
Thank you very much, Matt. Jeff Hireman, 10 catches for 83 yards on the day. Mace, let's talk about this Broncos offense. Case Keenum didn't throw an interception for the first time this season and really found a lot of use with his tight ends.
And he was resourceful as well. You look at the underhand and shovel passes he was pulling off. But it's been a long time, Phil, since the tight ends were that effective in the passing game. Between Jeff Hireman, 10 catches for 83 yards, and Matt Lacoste with that 44-yarder that really unclogged the offense in the second quarter, 127 yards in receptions for the tight ends. You probably have to go back to the Julius Thomas or maybe Owen Daniels days in 2015 for the last time the Broncos got that much in a single game in the receiving department from their tight ends. Very impressive, and a good sign for Jeff Hireman, who's looked pretty spry at times this year, and I think this was his best game so far in his career. And not just the catches he made, but they were at crucial times. He's making catches on the last drive as well.
Fourth down.
Clutch, exactly. Clutch plays, keeping the team alive, giving it a chance.
Yeah, we thought the tight end position was going to be in trouble when Jake Butt went down with a torn ACL, out for the season, but really a great job, and I thought that Bill Musgrave called one of his best games of the season.
Yeah.
Let's go back inside the Broncos locker room. Matt Boyer has Todd Davis.
Thanks, Phil. Inside the Broncos locker room once again with Todd Davis. Todd, a team-high 11 tackles. It looked like the defense was rolling late in that second half. What kind of got the ball rolling for you guys, gave you guys the momentum late in that fourth?
I feel like we just played, our brand of football. I think anytime we do that, that's the outcome that you're going to get. I think we played well the whole game. I think the whole game we kind of held them. They didn't really have too much of an offense. I feel like we did a solid job the whole game.
This is a position that you guys have been in before with the bye week coming up. As a leader, what's going to be your message next week with the guys going into that bye week?
Just take a couple of days to refresh your mind. It's been a hard-fought, tough season this far. Refresh your mind, but, before you come back, make sure that you're ready to go for the rest of the season. We still have a lot of season left, and we have to come and play hard every game and be ready to win.
Todd, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Phil, we'll send it back to you on the field.
Thank you very much, Matt. Todd Davis led the team with 10 tackles today. Mace, let's talk about a big loss for the Broncos. We saw Matt Paradis, the starting center, who's been there through all the thick and thin so far, a very valuable piece of that offensive line, go down with an ankle injury, did not return, and it looked pretty serious.
It looked pretty serious. Unfortunately, you have flashbacks to other injuries, like J.D. Walton going down, Chris Cooper going down on this same field over the last several years. And, Paradis has been the Iron Man. He had played every snap from the start of the 2015 season on through the second quarter, handling every snap for the Broncos. Connor McGovern replaced him, but if he's going to be out for a while, he's fairly irreplaceable on that line, especially with Ron Leary already lost for the season. So you've had a lot of leadership put on IR. If you lose Paradis for a while, then you're kind of starting over young on the offensive line. So it'll be a tough break if he's out for the long term for the Broncos.
Really the quarterback of that offensive line, and there's multiple reports that it's a broken fibula for Matt Paradis. We'll find out when we hear from head coach Vance Joseph. We'll take his press conference live here shortly. Mace, the Broncos really did everything they were supposed to do to be in position to win this game, except maybe the turnover battle.
Case Keenum played the clean game we've been talking about, 90.4 rating, no interceptions, solid game. Broncos outgained the Texans 348 to 290. Had first down advantage 19 to 17. Averaged more yards per carry. Texans averaged slightly more yards per pass play, but the difference, turnover margin. Broncos couldn't force any takeaways from the Texans. Texans got one on the Devontae Booker fumble after a reception in the second quarter, and they cashed it in, turning into a touchdown. That play, kind of like the sequence at the end of the first half, you're talking about something that made the difference between victory and defeat. And for the Broncos, this was their fourth consecutive loss in games decided by a touchdown or less.
Well, the Broncos fall to 3-6 on the year, 19-7 the loss to the Houston Texans, the sixth consecutive win for Houston. All right, that's going to do it for us. For Andrew Mason, I am Phil Milani.